The evidence tampering case was one case which was, came much later in the wake of protests, but there was never really any solid evidence to back the case of evidence tampering, even though it came up in the Supreme Court. And during the Supreme Court hearing at that time, the bench led by then Chief Justice Chandrachud did remark that what the CBI is saying is quite concerning. But the evidence, which is the sole basis of a charge sheet, that is not there. And therefore, in this evidence tampering case, these two individuals, the former principal of Arjun Medical College and Hospital, Sandeep Ghosh, and the former police officer in charge of the Tala Police Station, Abhijit Mandal, have gotten bail. Now, while Abhijit Mandal will be able to walk out of jail after getting bail, Sandeep Ghosh won't be able to do so because, remember, like I said, he's already been arrested in another case as well, for which he hasn't got bail, and that is the case of allegations of financial irregularities against him.
Right, which the ED is probing. Saurabh Gupta, appreciate you joining us with that. On that note, we'll head into a short break, but news and updates continue right here on NDTV.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
Mahakumbh, a festival of faith, the world's biggest spiritual festival. The divine dip at the spiritual Sangam, a sacred confluence of faith, culture and heritage. NDTV's mega coverage of the Mega Fest. NDTV at Mahakumbh 2025.
This week on India Ascends.
New Delhi's security calculus as the Arakan army takes over the 271-kilometer Myanmar-Bangladesh border. Why is Trump trolling Trudeau, and is it good news for New Delhi? As growth slows down, what are the priorities of the new RBI governor? What do flawed politics in Romania, Georgia and Belarus indicate about Europe's democracy?
All this and more only on India Ascends with me, Gauri Dwivedi, at these timings on the NDTV network.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
We are able to maintain the democratic fabric and the democratic system.
I want to do something that can make a difference.
लगातार जनता की आवाज को सरकार तक पहुंचाने का काम मैं करता हूं.
I was a student up until very recently. I really want to work and do something for my people because they have given me this opportunity. They have elected me.
सोचा नहीं था कि राज्यसभा सांसद बनूंगी.
हमारा संविधान भारत की महान परंपरा, अखंड धारा, उस धारा की आधुनिक अभिव्यक्ति है.
Finally, the opposition and government to square off over the constitution in parliament.
पूरे देश में एक ही संविधान चले.
वो कहते हैं कि लाल रंग का संविधान राहुल गांधी दिखाता है.
Parliament all set for a fiery constitution debate.
बाबा साहब आम्बेडकर का संविधान भारत का संविधान.
इसके अंदर जो लिखा है उसकी हम रक्षा करते हैं, उसके लिए हम जान देने को तैयार हैं।
Constitution in crisis or scare for vote bank? What will prevail? Watch NDTV special coverage.
NDTV Indian of the Year 2024.
NDTV नेटवर्क की तरफ से मैं आप सब लोगों का बहुत स्वागत करना चाहता हूं।
Celebrating the extraordinary.
Thank you, jury. बहुत धन्यवाद करना चाहता हूं।
Honoring those who shape India's future.
For me, it is a great privilege to participate.
Welcome back. Now, a two-day debate on the Indian Constitution started in the Lok Sabha with Union Minister Rajnath Singh leading the charge. Rajnath Singh criticized the opposition for suggesting that a single political party was solely responsible for crafting the Constitution, accusing the Congress of undermining its fundamental principles. From the opposition's bench, Priyanka Gandhi made her parliamentary debate debut, highlighting several critical issues. She raised the 2017 Unnao rape case, recent violence in Sambhal, and slammed the BJP for allegedly planning to alter the constitution. Priyanka Gandhi also strongly advocated for a national caste census aligned with a key demand of the opposition. Additionally, Samajwadi Party leader Akhilesh Yadav also participated in the discussion, emphasizing the urgent need for a resolute effort to protect the constitution.
विपक्ष के कई नेता संविधान की प्रति अपनी जेब में रखकर घूमते हैं। असल में उन्होंने बचपन से ही यही सीखा है। उन्होंने पीढ़ियों से अपने परिवार में संविधान को जेब में ही रखे थे। लेकिन अध्यक्ष महोदय, भारतीय जनता पार्टी संविधान को सिर माथे पर लगाती है। मैं आज यह स्पष्ट करना चाहता हूं अध्यक्ष महोदय कि हमारा संविधान किसी एक पार्टी की देन नहीं है। भारत का संविधान भारत के लोगों के द्वारा, भारत के विचारों के साथ, भारत के मूल्यों के अनुरूप बनाया गया एक अनपैरेलल्ड ट्रांसफॉर्मेटिव यह डॉक्यूमेंट है। हमारा संविधान प्रोग्रेसिव है, प्रगतिशील है, समावेशी है। अध्यक्ष महोदय, हमारा संविधान सार्वभौम है, हमारा संविधान सर्वसक्षम है। हमारे संविधान की सार्वभौमिकता और सर्वसक्षमता का अंदाजा इसी बात से लगाया जा सकता है कि जहां एक ओर हमारा संविधान स्टेट यानी राज्य की जिम्मेदारियों को विस्तृत रूप से सूचीबद्ध करता है, वहीं नागरिकों को उनके संवैधानिक और मौलिक अधिकार भी प्रदान करता है। अगर एक लाइन में मुझे कहना हो तो मैं कह सकता हूं कि हमारा संविधान सामाजिक, आर्थिक, राजनीतिक और सांस्कृतिक जीवन के सभी पहलुओं को छूते हुए राष्ट्र निर्माण का यह मार्ग प्रशस्त करता है अध्यक्ष महोदय। साथ ही लोगों के लिए मॉरल ट्रेजेक्ट्री यानी नैतिक मार्ग भी बनाता है। भारत में कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन मेकिंग से जुड़ी ये सब बातें लोगों से छिपाई गई हैं। इतिहास में जाने पर पता चलता है कि हमारे देश में इस बात पर व्यापक सहमत थी कि भारत का भविष्य किस तरह के कानून से निर्धारित हो। मैं आज यह स्पष्ट करना चाहता हूं अध्यक्ष महोदय कि हमारा संविधान किसी एक पार्टी की देन नहीं है। भारत का संविधान भारत के लोगों के द्वारा, भारत के विचारों के साथ, भारत के मूल्यों के अनुरूप बनाया गया एक अनपैरेलल्ड ट्रांसफॉर्मेटिव यह डॉक्यूमेंट है।
पहले संसद चलती थी तो जनता की उम्मीद होती थी कि सरकार महंगाई और बेरोजगारी पर चर्चा करेगी, कोई उपाय निकालेगी, कोई रास्ता निकालेगी। आप नारी शक्ति की बातें दोहरा रहे हैं। जो आप नारी शक्ति का अधिनियम लाए हैं उसको लागू क्यों नहीं करते? वो 10 साल बाद लागू क्यों होगा? क्या आज की नारी 10 साल इंतजार करेगी उसके लागू करने के लिए? क्या बात है? आज संसद में बैठे हुए सत्ता पक्ष के मेरे साथी ज्यादा से ज्यादा अतीत की बातें करते हैं। 1921 में क्या हुआ, कब हुआ, नेहरू जी ने क्या किया। अरे वर्तमान की बात करिए, देश को बताइए। आप क्या कर रहे हैं? आपकी जिम्मेदारी क्या है? अगर लोकसभा में ये नतीजे नहीं आए होते तो ये संविधान बदलने का काम भी शुरू कर लेते। सच्चाई ये है अध्यक्ष महोदय कि आज संविधान बार बार इसलिए कह रहे हैं क्योंकि इस चुनाव में इनको पता चल गया कि इस देश की जनता ही इस संविधान को सुरक्षित रखेगी, कि इस चुनाव में हारते जीतने से इन्हें एहसास हुआ कि ये संविधान बदलने की बात इस देश में नहीं चलेगी। अध्यक्ष महोदय जी, ये सरकार आर्थिक न्याय का सुरक्षा कवच तोड़ रही है। आज संसद में बैठी ये सरकार बेरोजगारी और महंगाई से जूझ रही हमारी जनता को क्या राहत दे रही है? कृषि के कानून भी बड़े उद्योगपतियों के लिए बन रहे हैं। सही एमएसपी को छोड़िए, डीएपी तक नहीं मिल रहा है। संविधान में सामाजिक, आर्थिक और राजनीतिक न्याय का वादा है। ये वादा एक सुरक्षा कवच है जिसको तोड़ने का काम शुरू हो चुका है। लैटरल एंट्री और निजीकरण के जरिए ये सरकार आरक्षण को कमजोर करने का काम कर रही है।
ये अध्यक्ष महोदय कैसी चर्चा संविधान की जो है बिना प्रधान की। अध्यक्ष महोदय, इस सरकार में जो लोकतंत्र के साथ खिलवाड़ हुआ है, इतना कभी खिलवाड़ नहीं हुई हो। संविधान को परतंत्र बनाकर जो लोग राज करना चाहते हैं, उनके लिए आज़ादी का अमृतकाल सिर्फ एक जुमला है। संविधान को बचाने के लिए एक और करो या मरो आंदोलन की जरूरत है। इसलिए अध्यक्ष महोदय, हम आपको भरोसा दिलाते हैं, पिछले चुनाव में भी बहुत सारे सत्ता पक्ष के माननीय लोग ये कहते थे कि हमें इतनी सीटें मिल जाएंगी तो हम संविधान बदल देंगे। अध्यक्ष महोदय, मैं आपके माध्यम से जनता का धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूं कि उन्होंने 400 पार के नारे को गिरा दिया और विपक्ष को इतनी ताकत दे दी कि इनकी जो सपना था संविधान बदलने को, उस सपने को तोड़ने का काम किया।
चेयरमैन साहब से हमारी यही विनती है कि भाई आप एक अंपायर हो और अंपायर किसी की साइड नहीं लेना चाहिए। एक तरफ लीडर ऑफ द हाउस नड्डा साहब बात करते हैं, उनको 5 मिनट 6 मिनट बात करने के लिए मौका दिया जाता है। एक तरफ विपक्ष में बैठे हुए लोगों को जब हम हाथ उठा के एक न्याय के साथ, विदाउट एनी गड़बड़, विदाउट एनी दिस, जब हम बोलना चाहते हैं, हमको मौका ही नहीं मिलता।
Right, and I'm joined by my colleagues Sunil Prabhu and Nazir Masoodi on this. Sunil, coming to you first, observing the debates in the parliament today, if you can just sum up for our viewers, what was the strategy used by the NDA government and versus the opposition in terms of taking on this constitution debate?
Well, honestly, actually, it's a great relief to see Parliament, functioning and discussing really setting aside their political differences, even though it's reflected in their speeches. They are discussing the Indian Constitution as it celebrates 75 years. That being said, I think the Defence Minister started off the debate by talking about the Constitution, about how many times it has been abused by the Congress and the various issues that have been raised and acts of omission and commission of various Congress governments in the last few years, including making a subtle attack on Rahul Gandhi for holding that Constitution in his pocket. That being said, It has been an extremely good debate. Priyanka Gandhi Vadra making her maiden speech on the floor of the House and speaking about, the various facets of the Constitution, about the way it's been misused, about the fact that, don't talk about olden times, talk about new, making a case about the fact that, people who are within the Congress, when they go there, the washing machine makes them clean, and about the various assets from, Hathras to now, to the various incidents that have taken place to ensure that the Constitution is upheld in the best manner possible. So it's in that context, I think we have seen a healthy and a good environment discussing Parliament. The Prime Minister is expected to answer that debate tomorrow, and it will definitely, it's good. And I hope they send a message that Parliament endorses the Indian Constitution and that they will follow it in letter and in spirit.
That's right. Sunil, we'll come back to you for more on this. Of course, as you mentioned, that the Prime Minister is likely to participate in the debate tomorrow. But Nazir, coming to you now, of course, Sunil is covering the Parliament, but we are also going across to our reporters from across the country because this is a significant debate taking place in the Parliament, this about the Constitution. In your experience also, if you can just comment on the fact that at this point in time, on the 75th anniversary of the Indian Constitution, the fact that this sort of a debate is taking place in the Parliament, how important is it for people across the country to actually come to hear the politicians' point of view from across different parties on what they have to say about the Indian Constitution and upholding the spirit of the Constitution?
Well, it is an occasion to debate the ideals of the Constitution, which is justice, which is fraternity, which is equality, which is liberty. And if those things are, discussed, that is something the countrymen would love to hear. Because it's the Constitution which provides answer to everything, including the functioning of the Parliament. As Sunil was mentioning, finally Parliament started functioning today. And it's again the Constitution which came to rescue, and both the sides agreed to, debate now in the Parliament, again, talking about the Constitution. And when we talk about the 75 years of the adoption of the Constitution, and lots of things have happened, several things have been changed in the Constitution. There have been 106 amendments in the Indian Constitution, which is a really huge, actually giving right to the majority party to amend the Constitution. It is unparalleled. If we see the United States American Constitution, in 235 years of the American Constitution, only 33 amendments have been done. But here in 75 years, we have seen 106 amendments, including 42nd Amendment, really infamous amendment during the emergency in 1976. Perhaps it was that playing with the Constitution, fiddling with the Constitution that time, Indira Gandhi lost the elections and Janata Party came, and they came with the 44th Amendment and changed those things, which was also actually, taking away the powers of the Parliament in this Supreme Court and the courts. And also the federal playing with the, fiddling with the federal character of this country. All those things were changed in the 44th Amendment, including also when the property was the fundamental right that was changed as a legal right, because there was the land reforms had to be done. Interestingly, since I come from Kashmir, those land reforms were done in Kashmir, in Jammu and Kashmir, in 1950 by Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah, because that time fundamental rights were not extended to Jammu and Kashmir, and those landlords could not use those rights, and the land reforms were done, and every family and every individual was given a right over the property right in Jammu and Kashmir, including Dalits, and there's not a single family in Jammu and Dalit family in Jammu and Kashmir which doesn't own land or the house in Jammu and Kashmir. That's very interesting. Having said that, this is an occasion rather than, partisan debate. This is actually an occasion to reaffirm the faith in the Constitution, collective faith in the Constitution. Because when we talk about the fraternity in the preamble of the Constitution, it says assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity of the nation. If anyone violates that and gives a hate speech, he's actually violating that preamble, which is fraternity. And perhaps if people abide by that, and if the Parliament sends that message that, look, it is the preamble of the Constitution, not only it should not remain with the Parliament only. In fact, it should be part of the reading preamble in the morning assemblies of the school. That is something where we are going to, people would relate to the constitution and they will say, we have to follow it. That actually tells us it is a compact between the people that has been holding this nation together for the last 75 years.
Right. Such important messages need to go out from the parliament. Sunil Prabhu, quickly now, coming to you next. Tell us what can we expect now. The debate, of course, is ongoing still in the Lok Sabha, I believe. But what can we expect now between today and tomorrow?
Well, these various leaders cutting across, from various political parties will continue to talk and debate and bring out the issue. That is the essence of parliamentary democracy, to bring out the various facets of the Indian Constitution, the positives, the negatives, and hopefully, one would hope, as I've seen when India celebrated its 50th independence in Parliament way back in 1997, a parliamentary resolution hopefully will be, the best thing that could happen. But given the kind of, status in terms of the bonhomie between the opposition and the government and the treasury benches, it will be extremely difficult. But nevertheless, from the chair, if a statement can be put out, it will be sending a message to all our citizens across the country that Parliament speaks in one voice to preserve and ensure that in letter and spirit, the Indian Constitution will be followed and revered.
Sunil Prabhu, Nazir Masoodi there. Thank you so much for joining me on the broadcast. We'll head into a short break at this point. Don't go anywhere. News and updates will continue on the other side.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
New day, new show, a new experience. Start your day with the news, not views. We bring you stories that matter and impact your lives. News that informs and keeps you ahead.
From Maximum City, Mumbai,
to the state of governance, Delhi, NDTV brings to you the best breakfast show. The breakfast show only on NDTV 24/7 every morning at 8 a.m.
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number one in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust. In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news is here.
Mahakumbh, a festival of faith. The world's biggest spiritual festival. The divine dip at the spiritual Sangam. A sacred confluence of faith, culture and heritage. NDTV's mega coverage of the Mega Fest. NDTV at Mahakumbh 2025.
This week on India Ascends.
New Delhi's security calculus as the Arakan
Welcome back. Now, Telugu actor Allu Arjun's been sent to jail for 14 days following a tragic stampede at a theatre in Hyderabad last week, which resulted in the death of a woman. Soon after his arrest, Allu Arjun sought legal postponement of his detention until Monday. However, there of course are several strands which are coming out from this entire case. The theatre had previously notified the police about the celebrity's appearance. They had even requested for additional security arrangements of the police. But there are questions now being raised about whether or not the police were adequately, had in fact made adequate arrangements for Allu Arjun's appearance at the theatre, which was screening his latest movie, Pushpa 2. There are also a lot of political reactions which are coming in on this. In fact, Telangana Chief Minister Revant Reddy has commented, saying that there's no role, no intervention of the government in case of Allu Arjun's arrest, and that the law will take its own course. Chiranjeevi, who's of course related to Allu Arjun, has cancelled his shoot and has visited Allu Arjun's house. KTR, BRS leader, has called it high-handedness and insecurity of the government which has led to this arrest. Bandi Sanjay of the BJP has in fact said stars deserve better treatment, and it's the failure of the Congress government to manage crowd which has led to this tragedy, and that Allu Arjun's arrest is disgraceful.
He has filed a memo of offence, and that he is arguing that every accused having a right to appoint advocate, and he is having a right to arguments, thus the sections are applicable or not. As well as he has filed wakalat and arguing that the Allu Arjun is not having any knowledge and not having any intention to commit that size of offences, which alleged offences are in the FIR and remand treasury. Those alleged offences are not applicable to this accused particularly. He is not having any knowledge, he is not having any intention to commit this type of offences will be occurred. So the advocate is arguing that he is not having knowledge that the sections are not retracted to this accused.
Now, the husband of the victim says that he's ready to withdraw the case. Listen into his reaction coming in.
నా కొడుకు మూవీ చూస్తా అంటే ఆ రోజు సంధ్యా థియేటర్లో మూవీకి తీసుకెళ్ళాను. మూవీ చూస్తా అంటేనే తీసుకెళ్ళాను. అక్కడ అల్లు అర్జున్ వచ్చినందుకు ఆయన తప్పేం లేదు. మేమేమైనా ఉంటే దానికి కేసు విత్డ్రా చేసుకోనికి రెడీ ఉన్నా. అది న్యూస్ కూడా నాకు పోలీస్ వాళ్ళు ఏమి ఇన్ఫామ్ చేయలేదు అరెస్ట్ చేస్తున్నట్టు. నేను ఇప్పుడు మొబైల్లో చూసిన, హాస్పిటల్లో ఉన్నప్పుడు మొబైల్ చూసిన ఇట్లా అల్లు అర్జున్ అరెస్ట్ అయ్యాడని. అల్లు అర్జున్కి అయితే ఏం సంబంధం లేదు వచ్చినందుకు. ఏమైనా ఉంటే నేను కేసు విత్డ్రా చేసుకోనికే రెడీ ఉన్నాను.
And Allu Arjun's arrest has also, of course, sent shockwaves. Actors have come out in support of him.
I feel जो सेफ्टी प्रोटोकॉल्स है वो हर चीज़ एक एक्टर सिर्फ अपने ऊपर नहीं ले सकता है. We can tell people around us, जैसे कि हम लोग अभी मैं इसी के बात कर सकता हूँ. सिनेपोलिस ने बहुत अच्छा प्रबंध किया है यहाँ पे, and we are grateful to them on that. And जो हादसा हुआ है वो बहुत दर्दनाक है. Very sorry, send my condolences. But at the same time, I think जो आप blame है सिर्फ एक इंसान पे नहीं डाल सकते.
Right, and my colleague Uma Sudhi joins me on the phone line. Uma, Allu Arjun, of course, has been sent to 14 days in jail. But if you can just briefly bring out for our viewers, what's the evidence that the police has gathered so far against him, which has led to this arrest today?
So no evidence of that sort has been put in the public forum by the police. But what I must point out is three different things, Sonima. One, that there is now a letter from the Sandhya Theatre that is dated 2nd of December, in which they have informed that on the 4th of December, the Allu Arjun and other crew and stars of the movie will be there, and there is an acknowledgement as well that the police has given. So the question arises, isn't it then the responsibility of the police, the security, to make the security arrangements there? Either they, reject permission for this particular coming of the hero and the other team to the theatre, or they say that we have made these kind of arrangements for that. So both of that, we have not seen any evidence to show that the police has made any such arrangements, nor have rejected Allu Arjun coming to the theatre itself. So the only evidence that I can talk about is that 2 cases have been booked against him, culpable homicide not amounting to murder, and also voluntarily causing hurt, and that he was there in front of the theatre for 15 minutes on that day, even opening the rooftop of his car and emerging out of the top and waving to the fans, participating in the celebratory mood, and that his presence there, and because his security team, we were also told, had in fact pushed the people away because they were all coming on, milling towards him, and therefore they had pushed him away, and that had pushed all the fans away, and that had led to overcrowding, and that had also led to the stampede that had contributed to the chaos and disorder and had actually caused the stampede, is what a note that was shared by the police has in fact said, and therefore that is the basis on which we are being told that Allu Arjun has now been arrested, and a few of his team members could be arrested as well.
Thank you so much for joining us with that. Now, Prime Minister Modi visited Prayagraj today, a month ahead of the Mahakumbh, where he launched projects worth over 5,500 crore and reviewed preparations for the Mahakumbh. He inaugurated around 167 projects and expressed his fortune in being in the holy land of Prayagraj.
ये महाकुंभ एकता का महायज्ञ है। जब संचार के आधुनिक माध्यम नहीं थे, तब कुंभ जैसे आयोजनों ने बड़े सामाजिक परिवर्तनों का आधार तैयार किया था। कुंभ में संत और ज्ञानी लोग मिलकर समाज के सुख दुख की चर्चा करते थे। साथियों, कुंभ और धार्मिक यात्राओं का इतना महत्व होने के बावजूद पहले की सरकारों के समय इनके महात्म्य पर ध्यान नहीं दिया गया। आज केंद्र और राज्य में भारत के प्रति आस्था, भारतीय संस्कृति को मान देने वाली सरकार है।
With that, it's a wrap from my side. Up next, Vishnu Show.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
We are able to maintain the democratic fabric and the democratic system.
I want to do something that can make a difference.
लगातार जनता की आवाज को सरकार तक पहुंचाने का काम मैं करता हूं।
I was a student up until very recently. I really want to work and do something for my people because they have given me this opportunity. They have elected me.
सोचा नहीं था कि राज्यसभा सांसद बनूंगी।
हमारा संविधान भारत की महान परंपरा, अखंड धारा, उस धारा की आधुनिक अभिव्यक्ति है।
Finally, the opposition and government to square off over the constitution in parliament.
पूरे देश में एक ही संविधान चलेगा।
वो कहते हैं कि लाल रंग का संविधान राहुल गांधी दिखाता है।
Parliament all set for a fiery constitution debate.
बाबा साहब आम्बेडकर का संविधान भारत का संविधान।
इसके अंदर जो लिखा है उसकी हम रक्षा करते हैं, उसके लिए हम जान देने को तैयार हैं।
Constitution in crisis or scare for vote bank? What will prevail? Watch NDTV special coverage.
NDTV Indian of the Year 2024.
NDTV नेटवर्क की तरफ से मैं आप सब लोगों का बहुत स्वागत करना चाहता हूं।
Celebrating the extraordinary.
Thank you, jury. बहुत धन्यवाद करना।
Honoring those who shape India's future.
For me, it is a great privilege to participate.
NDTV Indian of the Year. Only on the NDTV network.
New day, new show, a new experience. Start your day with the news, not views. We bring you stories that matter and impact your lives. News that informs and keeps you ahead.
From Maximum City, Mumbai,
To the seat of governance, Delhi, NDTV brings to you the best breakfast show. The breakfast show only on NDTV 24/7 every morning at 8 a.m.
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number one in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust. In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news.
Good evening, you're watching Newsroom News Break. I'm Vishnu Shoma. Quick look at the headlines at this hour. Allu Arjun is sent to jail for 14 days. The victim's husband says they're ready to withdraw the case. The actor, in fact, Allu Arjun's arrest has sent shockwaves. Varun Dhawan says one person cannot be solely responsible. The actor Mohan Babu's anticipatory bail plea has been rejected. The actor had been booked for assaulting a journalist. Parliament debates the constitution fiercely. Rajnath Singh accuses the opposition of insult. Priyanka Gandhi Vadra criticizes the misuse of the constitution and of parliament. Akhilesh Yadav calls for the ultimate sacrifice to save the constitution. Prime Minister Modi has given an infrastructure boost for the Mahakumbh in Prayagraj. He's also offered prayers at the Akshay Vatika and Hanuman Mandir during his visit. A tragic stampede at a theatre in Hyderabad last week, which resulted in the death of one woman. Soon after his arrest, Arjun sought a legal postponement of his detention until Monday. The big questions: the theatre had previously notified the police about the celebrity's, the star's appearance. The theatre management had requested additional security arrangements from the police. Is there a possibility that the police may now be shifting responsibility onto the actor? Well, here's a letter which was actually written by the theatre onto the police. It says that there is, and let's just go through the points over here. The hero, heroine and VIPs in production unit is what the letter has focused on. The essential point which has been mentioned over here is that there is a request which has been made or had been made by the theatre owners to the police to ensure that there was adequate safety arrangements which had been made ahead of the arrival of the star. So therefore there is a larger question on whether or not enough had been done by the government. Let's try and go through a couple of the points. You have those up on your screen on what that letter actually does say.
He has filed a memo of offence and that he is arguing that every accused having a right to appoint advocate and he is having a right to arguments, thus the sections are applicable or not. As well as he has filed wakalat and arguing that the Allu Arjun is not having any knowledge and not having any intention to commit that size of offences, which alleged offences are in the FIR and remand treasury. Those alleged offences are not applicable to this accused particularly. He is not having any knowledge, he is not having any intention to commit this type of offences will be occurred. So the advocate is arguing that he is not having knowledge that the sections are not attracted to this accused.
నా కొడుకు మూవీ చూస్తా అంటే ఆ రోజు సంధ్యా థియేటర్లో మూవీకి తీసుకెళ్ళాను. మూవీ చూస్తా అంటేనే తీసుకెళ్ళాను. అక్కడ అల్లు అర్జున్ వచ్చినందుకు ఆయన తప్పేం లేదు. మేమేమైనా ఉంటే దానికి కేసు విత్డ్రా చేసుకోనికి రెడీ ఉన్నా. అది న్యూస్ కూడా నాకు పోలీస్ వాళ్ళు ఏమి ఇన్ఫామ్ చేయలేదు అరెస్ట్ చేస్తున్నట్టు. నేను ఇప్పుడు మొబైల్లో చూసిన, హాస్పిటల్లో ఉన్నప్పుడు మొబైల్ చూసిన ఇట్లా అల్లు అర్జున్ అరెస్ట్ అయ్యాడని. అల్లు అర్జున్కి అయితే ఏం సంబంధం లేదు వచ్చినందుకు. ఏమైనా ఉంటే నేను కేసు విత్డ్రా చేసుకోనికే రెడీ ఉన్నాను.
जो सेफ्टी प्रोटोकॉल्स है वो हर चीज एक एक्टर सिर्फ अपने ऊपर नहीं ले सकता है. वी कैन टेल पीपल अराउंड अस, जैसे कि हम लोग अभी मैं इसी की बात कर सकता हूँ. सिनेपोलिस ने बहुत अच्छा प्रबंध किया है यहाँ पे एंड वी आर ग्रेटफुल टू देम ऑन दैट. एंड जो हादसा हुआ है वो बहुत दर्दनाक है. वेरी सॉरी, सेंड माई कंडोलेंसेस. बट एट द सेम टाइम आई थिंक जो आप ब्लेम है सिर्फ एक इंसान पे नहीं डाल सकते.
Well, our colleague Uma Sudhi joins us now for more on this. Uma, what exactly does the letter by the theatre owner say to the police, and was there any acknowledgement of the letter in the first place by the police?
Vishnu, the theatre owners have in fact written to the ACP of the area and they have informed in very clear language that there will be a show at 9:30 on the 4th of December and there will be 4 shows on the 5th of December, and that they are expecting the actor Allu Arjun and several other stars to come, and that arrangements for police security should be made in that area. And they have also said that they have received an acknowledgement from the police, because the letter of a copy of which I have sent to our office as well has the stamp by the police acknowledging the receipt of this letter. So what you would expect is that, one, the police would make arrangements for security after such a letter has been received more than 48 hours before this particular show was to happen here at Sandhya Theatre, where in fact I am standing right now. And I must also point out, either they should have been done or they should have rejected permission for this particular show itself, saying that we will not be able to conduct such a show. And otherwise they should also have, what they should have done is to say that we will be making this kind of an arrangement. Whether there is any communication from the police side to the authorities, that is not yet clear. We are here in fact at Sandhya Theatre, where in fact all chaos broke out. There you can see the poster of Allu Arjun and the maker of the film, Mr Sukumar, as well. And this is where the, as you can see, huge numbers of fan posters that are put up at this theatre, where in fact the premiere happened. And this is where huge numbers of people came in. What we understand is that instead of having a rare entrance for Allu Arjun, so that he could have gone and come into the theatre to watch the film separately, it was the main entrance that was provided for Allu Arjun. Whether any advice was given by the security agencies is not yet clear, but this is an area which is called RTC Crossroads in Hyderabad, and it's a very, very crowded area. There are multiple theatres in this place, and this theatre that I am pointing to you, Sandhya Theatre, is known for holding these kind of premieres, and therefore anyone here, including the police, would know that it would lead to massive amount of confusion if Allu Arjun and other stars are allowed here. So 3 pertinent questions that need to be asked. If the letter was received, was the police not able to react to it adequately? Was the line of communication there to the higher officers so that they could have taken care of this kind of a situation, prevented it from happening? Second is, can Allu Arjun and his team itself be held responsible? One aspect that was mentioned by the police is that there was a security team along with Allu Arjun, and that they had pushed the people when in a very celebratory mood, everyone wants to come and meet the star, take a selfie if possible, or take some videos of him, or if possible, touch the car or touch the actor. That is a tendency that all fans would have, especially for an actor whose following has increased multifold in the last couple of years. So whether the security team had pushed all the people, because of which there was a stampede-like situation that arose, that is something that needs to be answered. The third aspect is the very unfortunate case of the woman who died in the stampede. Her husband has in fact spoken to the media and said that his son is still in a very serious condition in hospital, and he says that Allu Arjun, I don't think, is responsible for this because he had already gone inside the theatre when this accident happened, and because I am the complainant in this case, I am willing to in fact withdraw my complaint as well. Three other things have happened. One is a political fallout in this particular case that we can talk about, a political fallout of this entire thing. BRS working president, Mr. K.T. Ramarao, has in fact said that this is a question of ego for the chief minister, because one of the spokespersons, Krishank Mane, says that because Allu Arjun failed to mention the name of the chief minister, or rather forgot the name of the chief minister at a function that is celebrating the success of the film, and that's why this is some kind of a revenge, he says. And he also alleges that that's the reason why it has taken 9 days for the arrest to happen after the incident happened. The second one that they are pointing out to is K.T. Ramarao has said in his thing that the high-handed manner in which Allu Arjun has been arrested is not something that is warranted. BJP leaders on their part have said that it is the police which should be held responsible because information had already been given to the police here, and therefore Bandi Sanjay, Union Minister, as well as BJP leader Raja Singh have tweeted on X saying this, and Lakshmi Parvati, who is a YSRCP leader, has reacted to this and said that when Chandrababu Naidu went to a Pushkar and stampede of 29 people had died in that particular accident, was he held responsible, she says, and she's drawing a conspiracy angle connecting a campaign, that political campaign that Allu Arjun had done on behalf of a YSRCP candidate in the simultaneous elections to Assembly and Lok Sabha that happened earlier this year, and saying she's reading into all of this a criminal conspiracy. But as of now, Allu Arjun has been sent to judicial remand for 14 days by the Nampally Court. Back to you.
All right, Uma, thanks very much for joining us. Meanwhile, as Uma Sudhir just reported, the husband of the victim says that he's ready to withdraw the case. We're going to move on now to another one of the stories that we are tracking very, very closely. The veteran Telugu actor Mohan Babu is on the brink of arrest by the Telangana police following his rejection of anticipatory bail by the court in connection with the assault on the TV9 journalist Ranjit. The court has turned down Mohan Babu's request for anticipatory bail. Mohan Babu faces charges of attempt to murder after allegedly assaulting the TV9 reporter. After the recent arrest of Allu Arjun, is Mohan Babu's arrest now imminent? Well, Uma Sudhir joins us now for more on this. Just for the benefit of viewers across the country, Uma, could you tell us about the circumstances in which this TV9 reporter was attacked?
So actor, producer Mohan Babu is also a very prominent film family here in Andhra Pradesh, in both in Andhra Pradesh as well as in Telangana, and should I say even in Tamil Nadu, they are very well known. And the actor Mohan Babu and his son Manchu Manoj were having a family dispute, and both of them had filed police cases against each other, with Mohan Babu saying that he is apprehending a threat to his life and also his property, and Manchu Manoj had in fact said that this is an attempt to silence him and to defame him, and that he is fighting for his prestige and not for the hundreds of crores of rupees property that the family possesses. So on the 9th of December, Manchu Manoj went into the farmhouse of his father, and he was stopped there and he forcibly went in. That's when the media also went in along with him, and on camera Mohan Babu was caught flinging a mic at a reporter, at a TV journalist, after which he suffered fractures on his face, in fact 3 fractures, and he's even undergone surgery for it, and that's the reason why the police changed the sections from just voluntarily causing hurt, and from there they had changed it to attempt to murder case against Mohan Babu. In the meanwhile, the Rajkota commissioner had also called him in, asking both the father and son to come and sign a bond saying that they will not disrupt peace, and Mohan Babu was also asked to surrender his licensed weapon, but he admitted himself in hospital saying that he is suffering from anxiety and stress and therefore unable to appear before the police. And the sons did appear and they did sign a bond as well to saying that they will not disrupt peace. But in the meanwhile, Mohan Babu had gone in for an anticipatory bail plea, which has been rejected now by the court, and therefore the big question coming up whether Mohan Babu will also be arrested on a day when Allu Arjun, who belongs to another very prominent political filmy family, whether he will be arrested as well. But what I understand from top police sources is that they are still in the process of investigation, and there is right now no reason to presume that they will be arresting Mohan Babu. But yes, the road in a sense cleared because the anticipatory bail plea has been rejected. Back to you.
Uma, thanks very much. A two-day debate on the Indian Constitution commenced in the Lok Sabha with the Union Minister Rajnath Singh leading the charge. Mr. Singh criticized the opposition for suggesting that a single political party was solely responsible for crafting the Constitution, accusing the Congress of undermining its fundamental principles. From the opposition's bench, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra made her parliamentary debate debut, highlighting several critical issues. She referenced the 2017 Unnao rape case, the recent violence in Sambhal, and hit out at the BJP for allegedly planning to alter the Constitution. Priyanka Gandhi Vadra also strongly advocated or spoke about the need for a national caste census, aligning with the key demand of the opposition. Additionally, the Samajwadi Party leader Akhilesh Yadav participated in the discussion, emphasizing the urgent need for a resolute effort to protect the Constitution.
विपक्ष के कई नेता संविधान की प्रति अपनी जेब में रखकर घूमते हैं। असल में उन्होंने बचपन से ही यही सीखा है। उन्होंने पीढ़ियों से अपने परिवार में संविधान को जेब में ही रखे थे। लेकिन अध्यक्ष महोदय, भारतीय जनता पार्टी संविधान को सिर माथे पर लगाती है। मैं आज यह स्पष्ट करना चाहता हूं अध्यक्ष महोदय कि हमारा संविधान किसी एक पार्टी की देन नहीं है। भारत का संविधान भारत के लोगों के द्वारा, भारत के विचारों के साथ, भारत के मूल्यों के अनुरूप बनाया गया एक अनपैरेलल्ड ट्रांसफॉर्मेटिव यह डॉक्यूमेंट है। हमारा संविधान प्रोग्रेसिव है, प्रगतिशील है, समावेशी है। अध्यक्ष महोदय, हमारा संविधान सार्वभौम है, हमारा संविधान सर्वसक्षम है। हमारे संविधान की सार्वभौमिकता और सर्वसक्षमता का अंदाजा इसी बात से लगाया जा सकता है कि जहां एक ओर हमारा संविधान स्टेट यानी राज्य की जिम्मेदारियों को विस्तृत रूप से सूचीबद्ध करता है, वहीं नागरिकों को उनके संवैधानिक और मौलिक अधिकार भी प्रदान करता है। अगर एक लाइन में मुझे कहना हो तो मैं कह सकता हूं कि हमारा संविधान सामाजिक, आर्थिक, राजनीतिक और सांस्कृतिक जीवन के सभी पहलुओं को छूते हुए राष्ट्र निर्माण का यह मार्ग प्रशस्त करता है। अध्यक्ष महोदय, साथ ही लोगों के लिए मॉरल ट्रेजेक्ट्री यानी नैतिक मार्ग भी बनाता है। भारत में कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन मेकिंग से जुड़ी ये सब बातें लोगों से छिपाई गई हैं। इतिहास में जाने पर पता चलता है कि हमारे देश में इस बात पर व्यापक सहमत थी कि भारत का भविष्य किस तरह के कानून से निर्धारित हो। मैं आज यह स्पष्ट करना चाहता हूं अध्यक्ष महोदय कि हमारा संविधान किसी एक पार्टी की देन नहीं है। भारत का संविधान भारत के लोगों के द्वारा, भारत के विचारों के साथ, भारत के मूल्यों के अनुरूप बनाया गया एक अनपैरेलल्ड ट्रांसफॉर्मेटिव यह डॉक्यूमेंट है।
पहले संसद चलती थी तो जनता की उम्मीद होती थी कि सरकार महंगाई और बेरोजगारी पर चर्चा करेगी, कोई उपाय निकालेगी, कोई रास्ता निकालेगी। आप नारी शक्ति की बातें दोहरा रहे हैं। जो आप नारी शक्ति का अधिनियम लाए हैं उसको लागू क्यों नहीं करते? वो 10 साल बाद लागू क्यों होगा? क्या आज की नारी 10 साल इंतजार करेगी उसके लागू करने के लिए? आज संसद में बैठे हुए सत्ता पक्ष के मेरे साथी ज्यादा से ज्यादा अतीत की बातें करते हैं। 1921 में क्या हुआ, कब हुआ, नेहरू जी ने क्या किया, अरे वर्तमान की बात करिए, देश को बताइए आप क्या कर रहे हैं, आपकी जिम्मेदारी क्या है। अगर लोकसभा में ये नतीजे नहीं आए होते तो ये संविधान बदलने का काम भी शुरू कर लेते। सच्चाई ये है अध्यक्ष महोदय कि आज संविधान बार बार इसलिए कह रहे हैं क्योंकि इस चुनाव में इनको पता चल गया कि इस देश की जनता ही इस संविधान को सुरक्षित रखेगी, कि इस चुनाव में हारते हारते जीतने से इन्हें एहसास हुआ कि ये संविधान बदलने की बात इस देश में नहीं चलेगी। अध्यक्ष महोदय जी, ये सरकार आर्थिक न्याय का सुरक्षा कवच तोड़ रही है। आज संसद में बैठी ये सरकार बेरोजगारी और महंगाई से जूझ रही हमारी जनता को क्या राहत दे रही है। कृषि के कानून भी बड़े बड़े उद्योगपतियों के लिए बन रहे हैं। सही एमएसपी को छोड़िए, डीएपी तक नहीं मिल रहा है। संविधान में सामाजिक, आर्थिक और राजनीतिक न्याय का वादा है। ये वादा एक सुरक्षा कवच है जिसको तोड़ने का काम शुरू हो चुका है। लैटरल एंट्री और निजीकरण के जरिए ये सरकार आरक्षण को कमजोर करने का काम कर रही है।
ये अध्यक्ष महोदय कैसी चर्चा संविधान की जो है बिना प्रधान की। अध्यक्ष महोदय, इस सरकार में जो लोकतंत्र के साथ खिलवाड़ हुआ है, इतना कभी खिलवाड़ नहीं हुई हो। संविधान को परतंत्र बनाकर जो लोग राज करना चाहते हैं, उनके लिए आज़ादी का अमृतकाल सिर्फ एक जुमला है। संविधान को बचाने के लिए एक और करो या मरो आंदोलन की जरूरत है। इसलिए अध्यक्ष महोदय, हम आपको भरोसा दिलाते हैं, पिछले चुनाव में भी बहुत सारे सत्ता पक्ष के माननीय लोग ये कहते थे कि हमें इतनी सीटें मिल जाएंगी तो हम संविधान बदल देंगे। अध्यक्ष महोदय, मैं आपके माध्यम से जनता का धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूं कि उन्होंने 400 पार के नारे को गिरा दिया और विपक्ष को इतनी ताकत दे दी कि इनकी जो सपना था संविधान बदलने को, सपने को तोड़ने का काम किया।
चेयरमैन साहब से हमारी यही विनती है कि भाई आप एक अंपायर हो और अंपायर किसी की साइड नहीं।
All right, the Minister Kiren Rijiju now speaking in Parliament. Let's listen in.
अगर ये कहेंगे तो इसका खिलाफ में कार्रवाई इसका खिलाफ में कार्रवाई होना चाहिए और नहीं तो इस तरह का महिला कोई भी मेंबर उठ करके ऐसा ही बात करेंगे, ये नहीं होगा सर। इसको मैं गंभीरता
रिपोर्ट मंगाकर देख लूंगा।
नहीं, इसका मेरा सर इतना कहना है स्पीकर सर, आपने मामला को संज्ञान में लिया है, आप देखने के लिए कहा है, लेकिन मैं सदन को इन्फॉर्म करना चाहता हूं, इस पे कार्रवाई होगा और हम लोग का तरफ से एप्रोप्रिएट पार्लियामेंट्री एक्शन लिया जाएगा। इस तरह का टिप्पणी आप बच नहीं सकते हैं, ऐसे टिप्पणी करके बच नहीं सकते हैं। इसमें कार्रवाई होगा। ये बहुत गलत परंपरा साबित कर रही है वो।
आधे घंटे के लिए स्थगित की जाती है।
All right, so the Lok Sabha has been adjourned now for the moment. We're going to take a short break at this stage, come back with a lot more.
Mahakumbh, a festival of faith, the world's biggest spiritual festival, the divine dip at the spiritual Sangam, a sacred confluence of faith, culture and heritage. NDTV's mega coverage of the Mega Fest. NDTV at Mahakumbh 2025.
This week on India Ascents.
New Delhi's security calculus as the Arakan army takes over the 271-kilometer Myanmar-Bangladesh border. Why is Trump trolling Trudeau, and is it good news for New Delhi? As growth slows down, what are the priorities of the new RBI governor? What do flawed politics in Romania, Georgia and Belarus indicate about Europe's democracy?
All this and more only on India Ascents with me, Gauri Dwivedi, at these timings on the NDTV network.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
We are able to maintain the democratic fabric and the democratic system.
I want to do something that can make a difference.
लगातार जनता की आवाज को सरकार तक पहुंचाने का काम मैं करता हूं.
I was a student up until very recently. I really want to work and do something for my people because they have given me this opportunity. They have elected me.
सोचा नहीं था कि राज्यसभा सांसद बनूंगी.
हमारा संविधान भारत की महान परंपरा, अखंड धारा, उस धारा की आधुनिक अभिव्यक्ति है.
Finally, the opposition and government to square off over the constitution in parliament.
पूरे देश में एक ही संविधान चले.
वो कहते हैं कि लाल रंग का संविधान राहुल गांधी दिखाता है.
Parliament all set for a fiery constitution debate.
बाबा साहब आम्बेडकर का संविधान भारत का संविधान.
इसके अंदर जो लिखा है उसकी हम रक्षा करते हैं, उसके लिए हम जान देने को तैयार हैं.
Constitution in crisis or scare for vote bank? What will prevail? Watch NDTV special coverage.
NDTV Indian of the Year 2024.
NDTV नेटवर्क की तरफ से मैं आप सब लोगों का बहुत स्वागत करना चाहता हूं.
Celebrating the extraordinary.
Thank you, Julie. The actor Allu Arjun. Remember, one person died as a result of a stampede which took place outside a theatre when Allu Arjun visited. There is a raging debate on whether the theatre owners had reached out to the police saying that they needed additional security or cover to ensure that nothing went out of hand. But earlier on, Allu Arjun was arrested, that hearing now taking place. Uma Sudhi joins us now for more on the actor Allu Arjun's effort at seeking interim bail. Uma, what are you hearing about these bail hearings that are taking place now?
So there are two things that are happening, Vishnu. One was, of course, the remand of Allu Arjun, which has been ordered by the court. So if there is a bail plea that is moved, it will take time for it to come up. There's a parallel thing that's happening in the High Court where Allu Arjun had filed a quash plea in which the prayer was that the arrest should be put off till Monday, and that was being heard in the Telangana High Court. The outcome of it, I'm not yet aware of what has happened in the court with regard to the quash plea itself, but yes, Allu Arjun's team will certainly be moving for bail in this particular case. But what is interesting, should I say, that there is a lot of political reactions that are coming in, and one of the political reactions is also from Jagan Mohan Reddy, who is, of course, the former Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, and he has also asked this question. He is asking that, yes, we do express condolences for the incident that happened where a woman lost her life, but he's asking, is it fair to hold him directly responsible for the incident? And despite having no involvement in the Stampede, filing criminal cases and arresting Allu Arjun is unacceptable. I strongly condemn the arrest of Allu Arjun, is what Jagan Mohan Reddy has said. We have already seen BRS as well as the BJP also tweeting in support of Allu Arjun, suggesting that they believe that the manner in which he has been arrested for the death that happened due to a stampede, that is something that they are questioning. The Hyderabad police saying that, in fact, the BJP leaders very clearly saying that it is the police that should be held responsible for not having provided enough security arrangements at the theatre, knowing fully well that RTC Crossroads is a very busy place, and if they were advanced, they were informed 48 hours in advance about the actor coming. Either he should have been denied permission, or if they were giving permission, the responsibility or the owners for providing security and making sure that peace is not disrupted would certainly lie with the police. Back to you.
It's interesting, some of the arguments which are being raised in court right now. Allu Arjun's lawyers are making a parallel to a stampede which broke out involving Shah Rukh Khan in the past as well on the release of Rice. Would you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, indeed. They are talking about the fact that in a similar incident that happened in 2017, a case that was filed against Shah Rukh Khan, and that case also Shah Rukh Khan was not ultimately held responsible for what had happened on the ground because of his presence there. And therefore, they are. It's not just about an actor and another actor. In fact, Lakshmi Parvati, who is the wife of Andhra Pradesh former Chief Minister N.T. Rao, and she is the YSRCP leader. She has asked about Chandrababu Naidu being present at a place when the Pushpa was happening, and at that time there was a BBC crew that was shooting there, and an accident, a stampede had happened in which 29 people were killed or died in the stampede. And she's also referred to a couple of other incidents where there was a sari distribution and 6 people died, and another incident where 3 people died. And she said none of these cases was any individual or the leader held responsible or made criminally liable for a stampede that broke out because of the crowds that went out of control. And therefore, these parallels that are being drawn certainly worth a legal argument, I would think, because they are asking how can Allu Arjun be directly held responsible for what happened, because it does appear from at least the documents that we have as of now that the theatre management had informed the police about 48 hours in advance. The second aspect of it, of course, the police in a note had said that the security team that was surrounding Allu Arjun had in fact pushed the people behind, all of them who were crowding towards the star. They had pushed them behind, and that's what had led to the stampede. So, of course, we will hear more on the investigation, and the court will also be going into details of what happened when the case does ultimately come up. But right now, to focus on Allu Arjun and his being sent to, will he go to jail tonight after being sent on a judicial remand, or is there any reprieve still possible for Allu Arjun, still remains an open-ended question.
Uma, the key point over here is that crowd control is not an actor's job. Right? It all boils down to that, right?
Absolutely. That is the logical conclusion that any of us would arrive at, that crowd control is not really the actor's job, but his security team as well as the theatre management could be held responsible if they had not informed the police or the security, the people who are supposed to maintain security at this place, whether adequate arrangements were made and whether any of their actions could lead to endangering the life of others. In this particular case, the police has said that because he not only did he come to that place with his team of security personnel who pushed the crowds which were standing there. He had spent about 15 minutes at the venue. This is a very narrow, crowded area, quite a very busy interjunction actually of Hyderabad, where multiple theatres are there in the vicinity. And if an Allu Arjun is coming there, there is going to be huge crowds. The theatre was held responsible because the question that came up was that why wasn't he provided with a separate entrance and exit so that he does not have to go through the crowds? That would have very obviously led to this kind of a frenzy among them, and the thrill and excitement of seeing an actor, things can go out of control. So why wasn't that kind of a provision made? And was that the responsibility of the theatre management, or was that the responsibility of the police, who should have given this kind of a detailing when they know what to expect when such a huge star is coming into a theatre to watch a premiere show of a movie that's broken record?
Oh, and Uma, just in terms of a reaction, Jagan Mohan Reddy has responded as well. I'd like you to reflect on that. He says that the loss of a woman's life in the Stampede is incomparable to the family. At the same time, Allu Arjun expressed his sorrow over this and acted responsibly, saying that he would stand by the family. How is it fair to hold him directly responsible for this incident? That's Jagan Mohan Reddy, but in fact, film stars from across Bollywood, actors, guilds, others, they're all coming in support of him, saying that this is an injustice.
Absolutely. I mean, we are seeing multiple political reactions, and all those political reactions have been standing up in a sense for Allu Arjun and condemning the manner in which he has been arrested today, and also raising the question whether he can be held directly responsible for that. That Bollywood or Tollywood stands with one among them is not a matter of surprise. You do expect them to stand together on issues like this, especially when a big star, a celebrity, is facing this kind of an action from the authorities. But the question here is whether there was any kind of a political motive for the Congress government here to get him arrested. Chief Minister Revant Reddy has also reacted, and he has said that the law is taking its own course, and that he has no role to play in this arrest or otherwise. And he has also said that everyone is equal before law. So, in a sense, if I should see the bigger picture, Vishnu, the Revant Reddy government has, now, in a sense, been criticized by the film fraternity. In this case, there was the earlier case of Nagarjuna, and in whose case there were certain comments that were made by a minister in the cabinet that also led to trouble, and now Mohan Babu. So,
Uma, you know what's happened in the last few minutes, Uma? It's interesting what's being argued in court with the public prosecutor saying, kindly hear the 482 matter. In other words, the petition to quash the case for interim bail on another date. That's what the public prosecutor is arguing. A life is gone, a young lady has died. The public prosecutor adds that the complainant's son is still on the ventilator. It's not a fit case to grant any interim relief. So that's essentially what the government is saying, right, in defense of the police.
Yes, so the government has obviously seen, rather the police has seen the role of Allu Arjun and his team as culpable, and that's the reason why they are saying that everyone is equal before law. And we believe that Allu Arjun's team has failed to ensure the security of the people who have gathered, because one, to see the show, and two, because Allu Arjun was arriving there, and therefore they have held him culpable or liable for what happened on the night of December 4, when this family had come there to watch a film, and in a very tragic a turn of events, the mother of this child has died, and the child is still on a ventilator, we are told, in hospital. And the father, now actually saying that he will withdraw this case. I am the original complainant in this case, and I do not hold Allu Arjun responsible, is what the father is saying. So we do not know whether he is under pressure from any film fraternity or otherwise, but it does appear that he is not holding Allu Arjun personally responsible for this. and he of course needs to focus more on his child and what is happening to the child there. But the police certainly seeing the culpability of Allu Arjun and deciding to arrest him today, 9 days after the incident has happened. Presumably, they would have done their investigations. They would know about this letter that was submitted. Allu Arjun had also issued statements in which he had mentioned that permission, or rather information, was given to the area. So all that is something that is still unfolding. Is there any more evidence that the police holds on the basis of which they have done this arrest? That is not yet clear.
The judge, in fact, in the hearing is saying that we have sympathy for the family. However, the judge is asked if blame can be fastened on the accused Allu Arjun in this case. Arjun's counsel says he needs to be treated as an ordinary person, and that there is no special treatment which is sought just because he's an actor. He says, essentially arguing that as an ordinary person, it makes sense for somebody to be granted bail, and he needs to be treated. So, just in terms of... and another point, Uma, the judge says that he is an actor, but he cannot be deprived of his right as a citizen of this earth. He too has his right to life and liberty. These are observations by the court. They don't amount to very much until the order actually comes out. But any thoughts on what the line of argument in this bail hearing is?
Right now, I'm in fact getting an alert that seems to suggest that there is an interim bail that is going to be given, and that Allu Arjun's release, that he could be released on an interim bail order. That's an alert that I'm getting that we need to still officially confirm. So while we are talking about the arguments where the High Court has observed that his right to life and liberty cannot be taken away just because he's an actor, and also saying that can he be held like this because he's an actor, and that he does have the right to life and liberty, and his personal liberty cannot be deprived just because he's an actor. So even as we are talking about this...
All right, breaking news coming in. Uma Sudhir, just come in on this. The Telangana High Court judge has indicated that they will grant interim bail to Allu Arjun. The judge says, we will grant interim bail for a certain period and let them avail appropriate remedies meanwhile. So this is an interim bail, right? It's not, so it's in a sense conditional.
So interim bail has been granted to Allu Arjun, and the court has said that he need not be arrested now, and that he will be released right now. So he does not have to go to Chenchalguda jail. The Nampally Court had earlier this afternoon, just about an hour away earlier, they had said that he will be sent to 14 days judicial remand, and he will spend tonight in jail. And we had thought that there could be a bail petition that's moved, but now the High Court has come in and it has said that there will be an interim bail that is being granted to Allu Arjun, and he need not be taken to jail today. So some reprieve certainly for the Pushpa 2 actor today, on a day of several dramatic developments that have happened, during which both the film fraternity as well as the political leaders from across parties seem to have come out in support of Allu Arjun. Back to you.
No, Uma, let's keep talking a little bit more about this. A day of very dramatic developments. Allu Arjun arrested, and then after that arrested on account of the death of a woman, her son, very, very unwell even now as a result of a stampede which broke out outside that cinema hall when Allu Arjun went visiting, arrested by the police, and now granted, and this is the breaking news story, interim bail by the High Court. But it is interim. It means that the case per se can proceed. However, I would suggest that there would also be, over the next several days, several more questions which are asked of the police and the circumstances in which the arrest was made. Is that right?
Yes. So the High Court has in fact said that it will grant interim bail. This is a limited period bail, and the High Court, I'm told, has actually said that they are inclined to grant interim bail for a limited period following the Arnab Goswami case. And bonds have to be given to the jail superintendent since the arrest has been made already in this particular case. Of course, we were earlier discussing, Vishnu, that the court did observe that he does have the right to life and liberty, and that can't be taken away just because he is an actor. So after, if you were to go back to the chronology of the day, 12 noon is when the police arrived at the residence of Allu Arjun, and within about 20 minutes, he was told that he is being taken away to jail. Allu Arjun said that the police need not have entered his bedroom in order to try and arrest him, and that's the part that has come in for criticism from political leaders across party lines, I must say, because K.T. Ramarao, for instance, has said that he is not someone who is going to jump and go away. He is someone who is well known. He is someone who will be willing to present himself. So there is no reason for the police to aggressively enter his residence and pick him up, take him to Chikkadpally, to the police station at Chikkadpally, following which already we were told that a remand report is getting readied, and he was taken to the Gandhi hospital where he underwent a medical checkup, after which he was brought to the Nampally Court, where the court in fact ordered that he will be sent on judicial remand for 14 days. So in the meanwhile, Allu Arjun's team had already filed for a quash petition in the High Court, and subsequently now the High Court making these observations that the actor does have his right to life and liberty, and they cannot be taken away. And now there has been granted a limited period bail and interim bail, and that bonds can be given to the jail superintendent since the arrest has already been made. Otherwise, as you would recall, it's the police that the bonds are given to if there's a station bail, and in this case, the bonds have to be given to the jail superintendent since the arrest has been made. And Allu Arjun, therefore, will not be spending tonight in jail. He is going back home.
All right, Uma Sudhir, thanks very much for joining us with those details. Let's try and get you up live. Uma, I'm just going to go through what has taken place in the last little while. The High Court has granted interim bail to the actor Allu Arjun. The High Court observing that just because he is an actor, he can't be held like this. Allu Arjun has a right to liberty. The High Court granting him interim bail. Remember, the actor had been arrested by the police earlier on in the day, and I believe was put in custody for a period of 14 days. This is in connection with the death of a fan or one person outside a cinema as a result of him going to that Sapna cinema and a stampede breaking out. The owner of the theatre has now come out with details stating that they had actually approached the police beforehand and said that with the visit of a star in the area, there needed to be a greater police presence. The police, however, and the public prosecutor, however, in their opposition to the bail plea in court today, argued that since there is a person who is still critical, the child of the woman who died, and that there's been one loss of life, the woman herself, Allu Arjun should not be granted bail. That's been rejected, that's been denied. Just because he is an actor, he cannot be held like this, is what the High Court has had to say. So the big breaking story, the Telangana High Court has granted interim bail to Allu Arjun. It is for a certain period, and let them avail appropriate remedies meanwhile, is what the judge has actually stated. So will the state continue to pursue this against Allu Arjun after this bail petition? Will the police continue to try and take action legally against him? Or will this bail eventually result in, a larger release and, the charges being dropped against him? That's something that we're going to have to wait and see. But the court has said, the public prosecutor has said that this is a quash petition. This was just an oral petition. The accused has already been arrested and remanded. They can move regular bail. With respect to remaining person arrested, we will file the information. So the argument mentioned by the public prosecutor earlier on, right, and this is prior to Allu Arjun being granted interim bail, was that it wasn't right for the court to quash the petition, and that if there was a regular bail petition or a bail plea or a bail process, well, then that was one thing. However, the court disagreed with these observations and did go ahead and grant him interim bail. Let's go back to Uma Sudhir, who joins us for more on this. Uma, several co-stars in the last little while as well have, for example, the Pushpa 2 co-star Rashmika Mandana have defended Allu Arjun. Also several others, Jagan Mohan Reddy. So, there's been a great deal of sympathy for him in this case. And the basic point is this, I mean, who's in charge of law and order? Who's in charge of preventing a stampede? Is it one actor, right? Or is it others? The police, namely. And therefore, the question being asked is this not a travesty of justice that, you know, you pick on the actor when in fact it's the police's job to ensure that no stampede takes place? Isn't that the basic logic here?
So in this particular case, there are three parties that can be considered as stakeholders or rather involved in this issue. One, of course, is a team of Allu Arjun, on who the responsibility would be there certainly to inform the police and the theatre authorities when they are planning something like this, because everyone knows that Pushpa 2 is a hugely anticipated film, and to create that buzz around it, it's a usual practice for heroes like this to go to the theatres and watch the film along with the audiences, and that's what Allu Arjun had done on that day. The second part is the theatre, where the management has very clearly shown a letter in which they have informed the ACP of the area that Allu Arjun, Rashmika Mandana and others will be coming to the theatre to watch the film. Very clearly the letter says that there is one show at 9:30 p.m. on December 4 and 4 other shows on December 5 as well. And there is an acknowledgement, the stamp of the police itself at the that has been given on the letter, and that copy is with NDTV. The third aspect, of course, is the police itself, whether they were adequately prepared to ensure the safety of people who are expected to gather here. Because where I am in fact standing right in front of Sandhya Theatre, where this very tragic incident happened on the 4th of December at 9:30 p.m. Huge numbers of people had gathered more than a couple of hours earlier itself, with all that buzz coming in saying that yes, the actor could be coming in here. And what eyewitnesses had told me even the day after the incident took place, that there were hardly any police when Allu Arjun was here, and it is after the incident took place that big numbers of policemen in fact started coming in. So was there lack of adequate planning on the part of police is something that is being questioned by several political leaders as well, because we have seen Union Minister Mr. Bandi Sanjay as well as BJP local leader Mr. Raja Singh, all of them have pointed fingers at the police, saying that it should have been the responsibility of the police to ensure that there was order on that day, that adequate number of people were deployed in order to ensure that there is no stampede-like situation that arises. And the fact that Allu Arjun was allowed to stand there with his vehicle for about 15 minutes, and he in fact opened the rooftop of his vehicle and even emerged from the top in order to, in a sense, connect with the audiences and doing that kind of an response to the enthusiasm that they were showing towards him. So while the political reactions are targeting Revanth Reddy and saying that this is something that has happened because of what they are calling as, BRS is saying this is insecurity on the part of the Chief Minister, and they are pointing to an incident or for function that happened where this was a celebratory function for the success of Pushpa 2, and that Allu Arjun had in fact forgotten to remember the name of the Chief Minister, and they are attributing it to something like that, while the police of course is saying that they are doing this because otherwise they are going to be questioned. The opposite could also happen, where they are saying that because this is a hero, a VIP, and that's the reason why he is not being arrested or no action is being taken against them. And the police insists that they are acting according to the sections of the law that say that this is this is something that they are calling as culpable homicide not amounting to murder and voluntarily causing hurt. That in itself may be a contradiction, because in one you are saying it's a voluntarily causing hurt, and in the other you are saying that it's a culpable homicide not amounting to murder. Back
sure.
to you.
All right, Uma, we'll keep tracking this story. Thanks very much for joining us. The High Court has granted the actor Allu Arjun interim bail. We'll keep tracking this story. In other news, briefly, the Prime Minister visited Prayagraj today. It's a visit in which he's announced very important development programs, announced 167 projects worth 5,500 crore rupees. This visit comes a month ahead of Mahakumbh. He reviewed preparations for the event, and he expressed, he said that this is the Holy Land of Prayagraj. In 2019, UNESCO recognized the Mahakumbh as an intangible cultural heritage, and preparations included adding 9 new ferries, 3,000 new train services, planting 3 lakh saplings, renovating 300 parks, and a lot more.
ये महाकुंभ एकता का महायज्ञ है। जब संचार के आधुनिक माध्यम नहीं थे, तब कुंभ जैसे आयोजनों ने बड़े सामाजिक परिवर्तनों का आधार तैयार किया था। कुंभ में संत और ज्ञानी लोग मिलकर समाज के सुख दुख की चर्चा करते थे। साथियों, कुंभ और धार्मिक यात्राओं का इतना महत्व होने के बावजूद पहले की सरकारों के समय इनके महात्म्य पर ध्यान नहीं दिया गया। आज केंद्र और राज्य में भारत के प्रति आस्था, भारतीय संस्कृति को मान देने वाली सरकार है।
Well, it's time now for us to take a short break.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
New day, new show, a new experience. Start your day with the news, not views. We bring you stories that matter and impact your lives. News that informs and keeps you ahead.
From Maximum City, Mumbai,
To the state of governance, Delhi, NDTV brings to you the best breakfast show. The breakfast show only on NDTV 24/7 every morning at 8 a.m.
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number 1 in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust. In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news is here.
Mahakumbh, a festival of faith. The world's biggest spiritual festival. The divine dip at the spiritual Sangam. A sacred confluence of faith, culture and heritage. NDTV's mega coverage of the Mega Fest. NDTV at Mahakumbh 2025.
This week on India Ascends.
New Delhi's security calculus as the Arakan army takes over the 271-kilometer Myanmar-Bangladesh border. Why is Trump trolling Trudeau, and is it good news for New Delhi? As growth slows down, what are the priorities of the new RBI governor? What do flawed politics in Romania, Georgia and Belarus indicate about Europe's democracy?
All this and more only on India Sense with me, Gauri Dwivedi, at these timings on the NDTV network.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of maximum city is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
We are able to maintain the democratic fabric and the democratic system.
I want to do something that can make a difference.
लगातार जनता की आवाज को सरकार तक पहुंचाने का काम मैं करता हूं.
I was a student up until very recently. I really want to work and do something for my people because they have given me this opportunity. They have elected me.
सोचा नहीं था कि राज्यसभा सांसद बनूंगी.
हमारा संविधान भारत की महान परंपरा अखंड धारा उस धारा की आधुनिक अभिव्यक्ति है.
Finally, the opposition and government to square off over the constitution in parliament.
पूरे देश में एक ही संविधान चले.
वो कहते हैं कि लाल रंग का संविधान राहुल गांधी दिखाता है.
Parliament all set for a fiery constitution debate.
बाबा साहब आम्बेडकर का संविधान भारत का संविधान.
इसके अंदर जो लिखा है उसकी हम रक्षा करते हैं, उसके लिए हम जान देने को तैयार हैं.
Constitution in crisis or scare for vote bank.
Good evening, you're watching the news at 6 with me, Tanima Biswas. A lot of fast-paced developments coming in on the Allu Arjun arrest case. We'll get you the latest. The actor has got interim bail. But before we get you more details on that, the headlines first. Telugu superstar Allu Arjun gets interim bail after being arrested for a woman's death in a stampede outside a theatre which was screening his latest movie. Telangana High Court says Allu Arjun has the right to liberty and can't be held like this just because he's an actor. Allu Arjun's arrest has sparked a political war of words among leaders. KTR labelled the arrest as unfair, criticising the handling of the situation. Telangana Chief Minister Revant Reddy asserted that the law will take its own course. Former Chief Minister Jagan Mohan Reddy says that how fair is it to target one person in this incident? Allu Arjun's arrest sends shockwaves. Varun Dhawan says one person can't be held solely responsible for safety SOP. Actor Mohan Babu's anticipatory bail plea rejected. The actor had been booked for assaulting a journalist. Former principal of RG Kaur Hospital, Sandeep Ghosh, gets bail in the evidence tampering case as CBI fails to file charge sheet within stipulated amount of time. Parliament debates constitution fiercely. Rajnath Singh accuses the opposition of insulting the constitution. Priyanka Gandhi criticizes misuse. Akhilesh calls for ultimate sacrifice to save the constitution. Right, our top focus, of course, remains Allu Arjun's case, and the actor has just been granted interim bail by the Telangana High Court. What we are given to understand is that the interim bail has been granted for 4 weeks. Remember, just a few hours back, the actor had been arrested in a case of a woman's death, which had taken place right outside the theatre, one of the theatres in Hyderabad, which was screening his latest movie Pushpa 2. The actor had in fact made a surprise visit to that theatre last week when that tragic incident took place. There are questions being raised about whether or not there was adequate safety. The police case, of course, hinges on the fact that the actor should have in fact coordinated the police to ensure that there was sufficient security protocol in place outside that theatre to ensure that such an unfortunate tragedy did not take place. As a counter to that, the theatre owners have in fact come out with a statement and in fact also told the court today that they had in fact informed the local police and had in fact called for additional security. So questions also being raised as to whether or not just because Allu Arjun is a celebrity that he is the person who's being solely targeted in this particular case. That's a question which is being raised, of course. Several people have reacted on this entire matter. Let's take a look at some reactions coming in on this. Firstly, that of the victim's husband, who has now said that he is willing to withdraw the case.
నా కొడుకు మూవీ చూస్తా అంటే ఆ రోజు సంధ్యా థియేటర్లో మూవీకి తీసుకెళ్ళాను. మూవీ చూస్తా అంటేనే తీసుకెళ్ళాను. అక్కడ అల్లు అర్జున్ వచ్చినందుకు ఆయన తప్పేం లేదు. మేమేమైనా ఉంటే దానికి కేసు విత్డ్రా చేసుకోనికి రెడీ ఉన్నా. అది న్యూస్ కూడా నాకు పోలీస్ వాళ్ళు ఏమి ఇన్ఫామ్ చేయలేదు అరెస్ట్ చేస్తున్నట్టు. నేను ఇప్పుడు మొబైల్లో చూసిన, హాస్పిటల్లో ఉన్నప్పుడు మొబైల్ చూసిన ఇట్లా అల్లు అర్జున్ అరెస్ట్ అయ్యాడని. అల్లు అర్జున్కి అయితే ఏం సంబంధం లేదు వచ్చినందుకు. ఏమైనా ఉంటే నేను కేసు విత్డ్రా చేసుకోనికే రెడీ ఉన్నాను.
There are several actors who are now coming out in support of Allu Arjun. Rashmika Mandanna, who is of course Allu Arjun's co-star in Pushpa 2, has also said that it's disheartening that only one person is being held responsible like this. Actor Varun Dhawan also said something similar. Listen into what he had to say.
I feel जो safety protocols है वो हर चीज एक एक्टर सिर्फ अपने ऊपर नहीं ले सकता है. We can tell people around us, जैसे कि हम लोग अभी मैं इसी के बात कर सकता हूँ. सिनेपोलिस ने बहुत अच्छा प्रबंध किया है यहाँ पे एंड वी आर ग्रेटफुल टू देम ऑन दैट. एंड जो हादसा हुआ है वो बहुत दर्दनाक है. वेरी सॉरी, सेंड माई कंडोलेंसेस. बट एट द सेम टाइम आई थिंक जो आप ब्लेम है सिर्फ एक इंसान पे नहीं डाल सकते.
Right, I'm joined by my colleagues Uma Sudhir and Veera Raghav on this. Uma, coming to you first, if you can sum up some of the arguments and observations, in fact, which were made by the Telangana High Court today while hearing the interim bail plea.
So the Telangana High Court in fact observed that it is a little concerned that the right to life and liberty of Allu Arjun cannot be denied just because he is an actor, and it had shown inclination in fact that he should be granted bail, and that is the argument that they gave when they granted interim bail, which is really in this case they said for a limited period bail, and they even quoted the case of Arnab Goswami and said that they are granting bail in this case, and that bond should be furnished to the jail superintendent in this case, because earlier in the day the Nampally Court had already remanded Allu Arjun to judicial custody. So there are 3-4 different things that we need to look at. One is this, of course, the husband of Revati, 35-year-old woman who died in the Stampede, and her husband Bhaskar has come out and told the media that he does not believe that Allu Arjun is responsible for what has happened, and because he is the complainant in this case, he says, I'm willing to withdraw my complaint as well. His 9-year-old son is still in a critical condition in a hospital in Hyderabad. Whether Mr. Bhaskar was under any kind of a pressure, that is not yet clear, but it does sound like a voluntary statement that he has given, and that is in line with what the political reactions and the reaction of the film world, both Tollywood as well as Bollywood, has been. Allu Arjun, of course, is the son of the brother-in-law of Chiranjeevi. Allu Arjun by himself has, of course, a huge standing in the film world itself, but the film personalities, in a sense, veering to support Allu Arjun and say how can he alone be targeted in this particular case. BRS leader Mr. K.T. Ramarao has also reacted on X, saying that this is a kind of an insecurity on the part of Revanth Reddy, and they are referring to a rather should I say, incident where Allu Arjun during the success festival, or rather function celebrating the success of Pushpa,
had forgotten the name of Revanth Reddy and BRS spokesperson attributing it to some kind of a revenge on the part of the Chief Minister. That of course is something that the Chief Minister's office has denied, and the Chief Minister has said that it is going according to law and everyone is equal before the law, and also pointing out that he had nothing to do with the arrest of Allu Arjun. But the more important point is the Sandhya Theatre management, whose owners have also been arrested. They have put out a letter in which it is very clear that it is dated 2nd of December and the event was to happen on the 4th of December in the evening at 9:30, and they have informed that not just Allu Arjun but also Rashmika and several other crew members are expected at the theatre, and asked the police to make adequate arrangements for that, and this has been stamped by the police of Telangana, Hyderabad police, and therefore it is very obvious that the police were in the know of what had happened. So whether there is a failure in the communication between the police itself and whether they had failed to provide adequate directions about where he must enter, how long he can stay, and what kind of arrangements of men were to be made at this spot. I am here, in fact, at Sandhya Theatre, where if we were to show you the other side as well, you will see that this is a very crowded area, and this is a place where if a star is coming, there should have been the maximum amount of arrangements made. Back to you.
Right, Uma, let me also bring in Veera Raghav on this. Veera, you know, there are of course political barbs being thrown by the opponents at the Telangana government there, but the main question being asked is, can a star in this case be made out to be the main villain in this very tragic incident which has taken place in Hyderabad? Because there are several other strands involved. What was the responsibility of the theatre owners in turn saying that they did call the cops? So, but at the moment, of course, all the spotlight is entirely on Allu Arjun.
That's right, Tanima. Look, this boils down to one simple question. Remember that in Southern cinema, this is a phenomenon. First day, first show, release, star arrives, frenzy. We've seen this happen over and over again. There have been tragic instances in the past as well. So it boils down to one simple question. Were the police informed well in advance? Because frenzy is part of Southern reality. The police is overstretched, but they will have to provide protection. There has to be a semblance of order that should be planned because you know the frenzy is going to happen. So this all boils down to just that one question. How much in advance were the police informed? If they were informed, did they take action? Now that's as far as the legal case is concerned, Tanima, and I think everything will boil down to that letter that Uma was saying that Sandhya Theatre owners had sent across to the police on the 2nd. Now if they have, then the responsibility falls on the police either to say, no, look, you can't come because there will be frenzy. If they've allowed him to come, then that frenzy is going to be there and they ought to have protected. But beyond that, Tanima, and I think it's important we ask this question, who is responsible for this frenzy, the star or the fan? What allows this kind of craze for a star or a movie on the first day, first show of release? Stars benefit greatly from this. Remember, their money comes in from the fans. So are they to be held accountable? Should they be behaving more responsible? And this is not, I'm not restricting this just to Allu Arjun. This is across to other stars as well. Should you be more responsible and accountable for the frenzy that happens? Because if you get injured, there is enormous outcry. What about the fans who get injured and die in this case, unfortunately? So I think that's an extremely important question. There's no hard and fast answer to that, Tanima, but we'll have to keep probing for it.
Right, Veera Raghav there. Thank you so much for joining us. There are, of course, a lot of celebrities also who are already reacting on this and asking questions about the responsibility which lay with the theatre owners as well as the local police there. To discuss this further on the show, I'm joined by Dr. Vikram Singh, former DGP of Uttar Pradesh, and Sanjay Chadha, an advocate of the Supreme Court. Thank you to both of you, gentlemen, for taking out your time. Coming to you first, Dr. Vikram Singh, you know, questions are being raised. I mean, the theatre owners have clearly produced a letter in which they have said that they did call for additional police arrangement. But now that this tragedy has taken place, it's been a week since then, the blame is now squarely being laid on the theatre owner as well as the star. Isn't it up to that there has to be some sort of an internal inquiry that the police also must conduct in order to figure out what action did they take after receiving that letter of request from the theatre?
Certainly, there has to be an internal inquiry, and there's a protocol that is well established all over the country. And that protocol is that when you receive such a request, then there has to be a rehearsal, a deposit of certain amount has to be deposited in the government treasury because this is a private function entailing some profit to the Sandhya theatres and to the actors and the actresses there. Therefore, just shooting of a letter does not absolve the Sandhya theatre of their responsibility, neither of Allu. But the police, if they had prior information 48 hours before the incident, they could have done the diligent homework, ensured the proper police arrangements, and then billed them for the police arrangements that they did. But to say that the billing was not happened, nobody can absolve themselves of the responsibility because the human tragedy has happened. And I would say primarily the Sandhya theatre, who should have ensured a rehearsal, minute-to-minute program should have been rehearsed, entry and exit, and also any contingency plans also had to be in position. Nothing like that happened, and we exactly quoted the recipe of disaster. Therefore, I would say I would blame Sandhya theatre, then also the actor for taking things for granted, and the police for not being proactive.
Okay. Sanjay Chadha, bringing you in on this now. While there are a lot of questions being raised, of course, on Allu Arjun's responsibility, do you think it largely rests in the realm of moral responsibility, ethical responsibility? Legally, how watertight is this case?
What Adharaniya Vikram Singh ji has just said, that has lot of strength in it. But I differ in one point, where I don't think that Allu Arjun, who is an actor, his liability should be that much far-reached. Now, only thing which I want to convey, I don't know whether Shri Vikram Singh ji know about it or not, 105 and 118, a culpable homicide not amounting to murder is being charged upon him. I don't think that should be there. It's not totally his fault. Yes, the theatre has to certainly those practices which should have been followed, or from where the people will come, which gate they have to go, all those things should have been practiced. But there is also a responsibility of police. Once it has been informed, everybody knows that in India, especially in South India, there is a great craze of these film stars, and all these film stars are always been taken as if they are the god. Though, that's I don't follow that philosophy. But you can't, an individual, you can't hold him liable for culpable homicide amounting to, not amounting to murder. That's a grave offense. And I feel, yes, there is a moral duty on his part. His team should have seen it, but you can't arrest him. Now, 14 days, he's been sent to judicial custody. What is the use? What purpose it will serve? I don't understand.
Right. He's, of course, just been granted interim bail a short while back from the High Court. But yes, a lot of people are also raising questions whether or not a direct link can actually be established between the death of this woman, the unfortunate death of this woman. There's no two ways about that. And the actor's responsibility, and what is the quantum of responsibility of the actor in this entire matter. Dr. Vikram Singh, Sanjay Chadha, thank you to both of you for joining us on the show. And now it's time for NDTV special series, Meet Our MPs. In today's episode, my colleague Aishwarya Jain speaks to TMC MP from Mednipur constituency in West Bengal, June Malia.
Well, hello and welcome to our special segment, Meet Our MPs. And today I'm being joined by a very special guest, June Malia from Madnipur, from Trinamool Congress, first term MP. Ma'am, thank you so much for speaking to NDTV. So in this segment, we get to know our MPs. Please tell us about yourself. How did you got a chance to join politics? What was the vision behind joining politics?
So I've been with Mamta Di since 2009. I'm an actor by profession, and 2021 she offered me a ticket for the assembly elections, and I won the assembly elections, and Midnapur was my assembly which my constituency which I won.
Yes.
And then last year she told me that I have to fight the Lok Sabha against Dilip Ghosh, because Midnapur Lok Sabha was a BJP seat and was won by Dilip Ghosh. We all know who he is. Dada needs no introduction. So when she told me that, you start preparing yourself because you have to do this. So, I was like, Yeah, I was a little taken aback because I was like, I didn't even complete 3 years, and here I was. Firstly, I never thought that I would become an MLA, and now she was, asking me to fight for a huge election, mother of all elections, I would say. And yeah, but I was a little surprised. But then I said, of course, and I plunged into it. It was very difficult because obviously we had to recover the seat. And Dilipda was quite a popular MP in Midnapur, but then he was sent to Bardhaman to fight against Kirti Azad, where he lost against Kirti, and Agnimitra Paul, who's the existing Asansol MLA, she was put up against me.
Okay.
But it was a very close and a very difficult elections which I fought, which I'll remember for the rest of my life, only because it didn't only take a lot of energy, a lot of work, but the heat was excruciating those 3 months. And in Bengal we had elections in 8 phases, and ours was almost towards the end, the 7th phase, and it was quite traumatic where the heat was concerned. But now when I think about it, I almost I asked my son, who was with me during the campaign, I said, how did we do it? God has been kind, Didi has been kind, and Abhishek, the party had faith in me, because Midnapur was a very important seat and Didi really wanted to get it back. So yeah, that's how it started. And I've also worked as a member of the Women's Commission in Bengal, and later on I became a member of the Child Rights Protection Committee as well. So yes, that's how it started.
But being an actor and being in that industry, have you ever thought, you work for society a bit in last many years. We have seen your work as well in Bengal. But have you ever thought of, having a journey and entering the parliament as well?
No. As I said, I just said that. For me, it was a huge surprise. But at the same time, I was, as an actor, I've worked with various NGOs. I've always worked for AIDS awareness. And, I always feel that as a citizen, we should be responsible. We also need to give it back to our society. We just cannot keep taking it.
Absolutely.
So that's why I used to work a lot. But I must say that, that this is a great canvas and a platform to work for the people.
Absolutely.
And which I am doing. I did that as an MLA these 3 years. I had quite an experience, and I got an opportunity. And now I've given, and of course, it's a huge honor to be a member.
I also want to talk about your constituency. What are those problems that you see, and what do you want to change? What's your vision for your constituency that you want to bring in next 5 years?
See, I'm not going to sound cliche by saying that women needs to be empowered. Of course, they need to be empowered. But my constituency right now, I have the child marriage issue,
okay,
which needs to be dealt with.
Okay.
And I'm looking into that I've spoken to my district magistrate. I've spoken with the government, our minister who looks after Dr. Shashi Paja, who's the minister of the Women's and Child Development. So we are looking into that, and I want to build awareness, because child marriage is always related to many other things. Child marriage also is related to human trafficking. Child marriage is related to anemia. Child marriage, so this is something that I really need to look into, and I want to. And also Kharagpur, the railways, I've already spoken about it during the interim budget session.
Correct.
I made a speech in 0 hour. I wrote in the article 377. I did a mention, and I also I took part in the discussion of demands for grant.
Absolutely.
So, I've spoken to the minister as well, the Honorable Minister. So let's hope that I can do something for Kharagpur town as well.
Lastly, ma'am, before I wind up, while you enter the parliament premises, while you enter the democracy, the temple of democracy, what we call parliament is, how does it feel? Does that...
As I said, it's a huge honor. It's, the first day when I walked in, I took my oath. I was really overwhelmed because I never in my wildest of dreams ever thought that, as you said, it's a temple of democracy, that I will be a part of it. So for me, I'm privileged and I really want to work and do something for my people because they have given me this opportunity. They have elected me. I'm elected. So, I have to.
As a first-term MP, do you see any challenges posting those questions in the parliament or representing thousands of people who had a lot of hope from you?
It's not challenging, but I would again like to thank Mamtadi because, I've worked as an MLA for 3 years and, it's quite similar. I've worked and I've taken part during the session in West Bengal Legislative Assembly. So, by and large, it's very similar as to how I know how to, start questions and zero hour and mention. And so, I've gone through that training.
You have that experience.
So for me, I have that experience. So it wasn't difficult. Okay. But yes, the challenge is huge because, as I said, I've been elected by lakhs of people from my Lok Sabha Kendra, which is Midnapur, and they have given me a lot of love when I was an MLA, and I have to work for them. That's it, because I am their voice over here.
One message to the people of Midnapur as well, as we are standing in the parliament, at the parliament premises. Your message to all of those who have voted for you.
Yes, my message will be a lot of gratitude to all of them, all of you who voted me as your representative for in the parliament, and I promise you that I won't let you down.
Thank you so
Joy
much.
Bangla, Joy Midnapur, Jai Hind.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. So that was June Madhya, the Trinamool Congress Member of Parliament from Madnipur, speaking to NDTV on a special segment, Meet Our MPs.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera. NDTV Indian of the Year 2024.
NDTV नेटवर्क की तरफ से मैं आप सब लोगों का बहुत स्वागत करना चाहता हूं।
Celebrating the extraordinary.
Thank you, jury. बहुत धन्यवाद करना चाहता हूं।
Honoring those who shape India's future.
For me, it is a great privilege to participate.
NDTV Indian of the Year, only on the NDTV network.
And it's like the day, bound rewards, मैं everywhere, कहीं से भी करूँ collect, spend करूँ direct.
Download any single ID partner app, link your card and earn reward with top rank.
Get it free with single ID.
New day, new show, a new experience. Start your day with the news, not views.
We bring you stories that matter
And impact your lives.
news that informs and keeps you ahead. From Maximum City, Mumbai,
To the state of governance, Delhi. NDTV brings to you the best breakfast show. The breakfast show only on NDTV 24/7 every morning at 8 a.m.
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number 1 in both online and offline reach in India, beating all its competition. NDTV stands for trust. In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news is here.
Mahakumbh, a festival of faith. The world's biggest spiritual festival. The divine dip at the spiritual Sangam. A sacred confluence of faith, culture and heritage. NDTV's mega coverage of the Mega Fest. NDTV at Mahakumbh 2025.
This week on India Ascends.
New Delhi's security calculus as the Arakan army takes over the 271-kilometer Myanmar-Bangladesh border. Why is Trump trolling Trudeau, and is it good news for New Delhi? As growth slows down, what are the priorities of the new RBI governor? What do flawed politics in Romania, Georgia and Belarus indicate about Europe's democracy?
All this and more only on India Ascends with me, Gauri Dwivedi, at these timings on the NDTV network.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
We are able to maintain the democratic fabric and the democratic system.
I want to do something that can make a difference.
लगातार जनता की आवाज को सरकार तक पहुंचाने का काम मैं करता हूं.
I was a student up until very recently. I really want to work and do something. Hello and welcome to India Ascends. I'm Gauri Dwivedi. Dear viewers, we are turning the page today in this edition, starting a story which is not about geopolitics, it's not about the economy. We are starting the show with a story that's about the rise of a new India. India that is young, ambitious and shattering records as it goes along. And who exemplifies that story better than the 18-year-old Gukesh, who's now the youngest ever chess champion. Take a look at these unforgettable moments that tell you the story of India Ascends.
And yeah, my journey, it's been, since the time I started playing chess, like 6.5, 7, I've been dreaming about this, about living this moment for like more than 10 years.
All right, let's now take a look at the big headlines at India Ascends. First up, Myanmar's military junta loses its last foothold in northern Rakhine state as ethnic insurgents capture critical BGP-5 base along Bangladesh border. How will this impact the region? India Ascends decodes. Ahead of likely trade tensions, US President-elect Donald Trump trolls Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau again, calls him Governor of Canada. Europe teethers on the edge, deeply flawed upcoming elections in Romania, Georgia and Belarus, set to become European democracy's litmus test. Meanwhile, there's some political sanity in France as the next French Prime Minister has been appointed. New Delhi gears up to ink a $4 billion defense deal with Moscow. The move is certain to reshape the power balance in Asia. And External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar's straight talk in Parliament over attacks on minorities in Bangladesh calls them a source of concern. All right, our big story on India Sense this week is from Myanmar, where the Arakan army has now advanced into Mongdo, which is the key city in the country's Rakhine state. And in fact, Arakan army is now controlling key border posts, including the strategic BG-P5 base along the Bangladesh border. In fact, the map that we'll put out for our viewers really will decode exactly how significant that is, because the group now wields significant and important power over those who enter and exit Myanmar across the porous frontier with Bangladesh. That you can see on your border, on your screens right now, what this border really means. And now there's a burning question here. Will the Arakan army now move further into Bangladesh? They're already on the border. And specifically, will they target the key port city of Chittagong? Why is that significant? Because it has a population of about 25% Hindus, 5% Christians. So that's why it's significant and important for India as well. And any spillover could stir up long-standing religious and ethnic tensions that could trigger further instability in this region. As far as Yunus is concerned, he faces an uphill battle. A fresh influx of Rohingya refugees fleeing renewed violence could put immense pressure on a nation that's already struggling with a humanitarian crisis, further destabilize an already fragile system. Bangladesh already houses over 740,000 Rohingyas since 2017, and housing any more of them would be both politically and economically very difficult for Yunus and Bangladesh. Let's now take a look at how it impacts India. The stakes are very high for India as well. India shares over 1,600 kilometers of porous border with Myanmar, which has impacted India's social fabric due to the influx of illegal people, drugs and arms. And now with the Arakan army gaining ground, Manipur and Mizoram are two states in India that may witness more instability and higher risk of cross-border ethnic tensions. Myanmar's mess also threatens India's $500 million Kalamandan multimodal transit transport port, which in fact links the eastern coastline with the northeastern states via Myanmar. Take a look and listen in to what the External Affairs Ministry has to say about what is going on in Myanmar.
जहाँ तक म्यांमार के हालत के सवाल है, म्यांमार में जो भी गतिविधियाँ हो रही है उस पर हम लोग लगातार उस पर नज़र बनाए हुए हैं। म्यांमार में हमारा पक्ष ये रहा है कि जो वहाँ पर जितने स्टेक होल्डर्स हैं वो सब साथ मिल के बात करें, एक कंस्ट्रक्टिव तरीके से बात करें, ताकि वहाँ पर शांति फिर से लौट के आए, स्थिरता फिर से लौट के आए और वहाँ पर लोकतंत्र फिर से बहाल हो। तो ये हमारा आपके प्रश्न पे जो जवाब है ये रहेगा।
Let's now understand how it impacts China. Why is this significant for China as well? Because Beijing has been backing the junta, which is now struggling from Arakan army's advances. The AA's recent victories have eroded or at least reduced China's grip. Over 40% of Myanmar's debt is actually to China. There are also huge Chinese projects that are running in this region, and which is why instability in this area, or the fact that the military may lose grip, impacts China, its interest, very, very directly. And in China has been trying to also mainstream the military and end its diplomatic isolation as well. A strategy that may backfire if the Arakan army continues to make gains. And for India to counter China's ambitions in the Southeast Asian region and the Bay of Bengal and shift the regional power dynamics, it needs to tread with caution. Now, first, it needs to prepare for more instability in Bangladesh. That is bound to happen, and that will impact the region. Second, it needs to tighten the border security in the wake of refugee waves and ethnic violence. Remember, Myanmar is a region where India and China are jostling for influence because US and EU have very limited presence here. All they do is slap sanctions and further alienate the people. And which is why how they respond or how India responds to Arakan Army's wins over the Myanmar military will actually decide and dictate the future of this entire region. All right, shifting focus now to the first wide-angle story on the show, which is coming in from Canada, who said Chinese President Xi Jinping is the only one set to face the wrath of Trump and his policies. Well, it could also be Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau very much on the top of that list of leaders who Trump is either mocking or is set to take on in his administration. At Mar-a-Lago, Donald Trump joked that Canada should become the 51st state of America, even as Justin Trudeau laughed nervously. Now, President-elect is trolling Justin Trudeau by calling him now the Governor of Canada. None of this is an off-the-cuff faux pas, but it's a very well-thought-out strategy by the President-elect. Trump's mockery of Trudeau has roots in their stark ideological differences, past diplomatic clashes, and poor electoral prospects of Trudeau in the upcoming election next year. Donald Trump's first administration, the US, and in his first administration, the US and Canada had major differences when it came to trade. There were public jabs that were a result of the past tensions over trade talks, which resulted in the US-Mexico-Canada agreement, and the spats that actually included the very public spat of 2018 G7 summit, where Donald Trump actually called Justin Trudeau weak and dishonest because of their trade disagreements. But it's not just about trade. Donald Trump's tirade against Trudeau also aims to undermine his leadership globally. This comes after India has repeatedly called out Justin Trudeau for running an agenda against New Delhi and in favor of the Khalistanis that his government has been shielding. Enter Ottawa's so-called Hardeep Singh Nijjar's probe. The probe is an attempt by Justin Trudeau's administration to smear New Delhi's image to garner minority extremist Khalistani votes. This is Trudeau's last-ditch attempt to avoid an embarrassing ouster from power, a consequence of the Canadian Prime Minister's many failed policies and rock-bottom ratings. By questioning Canada's sovereignty, is Trump challenging Trudeau's ability to defend Canadian interests? Compromised that they have been by his government's inability to meet public expectations on immigration, housing, and climate policies. Well, as far as New Delhi is concerned, it has every reason to smile. Shifting focus now to the other wide-angle story on the show. In fact, this is about continuing with Trump, but this time around the tirade could be as far as China is concerned. The one economy that's bracing itself for the onslaught of Trump's full spectrum of trade policy is China, which is why its annual economic huddle throws very important light on how it plans to really take on what will be a major impact from Donald Trump's economic policies. And in fact, there's also a major slowdown, an ongoing slump that China is dealing with. And there's also a slump in the property market, as well as stiff tariffs that it is expecting from the US. In fact, the world's second largest economy has been struggling with tepid growth for almost a year. And the Central Economic Conference has a prescription to address this, which is to put more money in the system and spend more, but without providing any details of how exactly this will be done. Till now, China's earlier stimulus measures to prop up the economy have prioritized export-led growth and focused on sectors where the government has already created excess capacity: electric vehicles, batteries, solar. In fact, earlier stimulus measures, like the government subsidies for car purchases, have been very incremental in nature. And why is that so? Because they haven't been big bang and the markets were expecting more, something that it hasn't done since 2008 financial crisis, and have failed to address the core issue. What is the core issue in Chinese economy? It is consumption slowdown. People are not spending enough. And the outlook for the second largest economy in the world is not bright. Not because of, and in fact, the reason for that is a jingoistic trade policy under Donald Trump will mean a tariff war where Chinese goods will be, in fact, slapped with a 60% tariff. Exports may not be the primary growth driver. And secondly, because there is nothing being done to lift the domestic demand that could propel the economy. Let's see if Xi Jinping really has better answers. As things stand right now, it's not looking like that. Shifting our focus to European democracy and its model as well as experiment. Democracy is not a virtue, it's a struggle, a constant reminder of how political systems need to fulfill the aspirations of their people. And the one place where democracy seems to be getting a raw deal right now, believe it or not, is Europe. One doesn't think so, but that is what it's looking like because of failed or flawed elections and political landscapes in Romania, Georgia, Belarus, and the unprecedented logjam in France that only lifted just minutes ago. It shows that Europe is no longer in a position to preach about democratic ideals to the world. In fact, it should be introspecting or probably taking lessons from countries like India, which is running successful, large democratic experiments for the last 75 years. This report tells you why exactly democratic experiments in Europe right now are struggling and why 2024 could be Europe's big litmus test as far as democracy is concerned.
From the Black Sea to the Baltic, the democratic ideals that once bound Europe are now being tested. In Romania, the country's apex court has annulled the already underway elections in the 11th hour due to allegations of large-scale meddling by Moscow for a pro-Russia far-right candidate. Voters will now head to new polls in a moment that could define the country's path forward. The situation is similar just across the Black Sea in Georgia. Recently, the ruling Georgian Dream Party has put European Union integration process and its negotiations on hold till 2028, setting the country back on EU talks by 4 years. The move has triggered mass protests with most people in favor of joining the EU. In Belarus, the situation is even more complex, with President Lukashenko's hold on power more tenuous than ever. The upcoming January election is expected to be a sham, as opposition leaders remain silenced or imprisoned. From Belarus to Romania and Georgia to even France now, where the people and politics remain in logjam, the question arises, is democracy being tested in Europe? The continent that preaches democracy now finds its ideals under siege, its very foundations being tested. Meanwhile, across the globe, India conducts the world's largest, most diverse elections in a fair, free, and inclusive manner. Europe is a classic case of practice what you preach or risk losing the moral high ground. As NATO watches from the sidelines, the fate of these nations may soon decide the future of European democracy itself. Traditionally, Western European countries have been a guiding light for their Eastern European counterparts. But the French playbook is anything but worthy of being copied. As Macron searches for another prime minister to preside over a fractured polity, Romania, Georgia, and Belarus all are waiting in the sidelines.
All right, it's time to slip into a very short break. Stay with us. India Sense comes back with more stories, more perspective, including what should be RBI Governor's set of priorities.
Only with single ID. ये भी फ्री वो भी फ्री कितना कुछ फ्री only with single ID get it free with single ID कितने सारे apps हैं मुझसे जुड़े brands मेरे पास है सबसे बड़े get it only with single ID get it free with single ID.
Download any single ID partner app, link your card and earn rewards with top rank.
Get it free with single ID.
NDTV Indian of the Year 2024.
NDTV नेटवर्क की तरफ से मैं आप सब लोगों का बहुत स्वागत करना चाहता हूं।
Celebrating the extraordinary.
Thank you, jury. बहुत धन्यवाद करना चाहता हूं।
Honoring those who shape India's future.
For me, it is a great privilege to participate.
NDTV Indian of the Year. Only on the NDTV network.
New day, new show, a new experience. Start your day with the news, not views. We bring you stories that matter and impact your lives. News that informs and keeps you ahead.
From Maximum City, Mumbai,
To the state of governance, Delhi, NDTV brings to you the best breakfast show. The breakfast show.
Welcome back. You're watching India Sense. We now turn our focus to the new man on Mint Street, RBI's new governor, Sanjay Malhotra, and India Sense has a wish list for him. The priorities that India Sense wants him to focus on. First up, he should be looking at more closely at the growth side of the growth versus inflation trade-off. Remember, growth has been a bit of a bubble for India in the last quarter, and prioritize growth over inflation, though it is a very tightrope walk for the governor. The second priority that India Sense has for him is that the team that he will have for the 6 members of the Monetary Policy Committee are set to see some sort of a shuffle, and we want him to ensure that he keeps the team completely steadied because there could be choppy waters ahead in 2025. The third key priority or wish list that India Sense has for the new governor is that he should focus on providing for regulations when it comes to unstable deposits as well as big ticket infrastructure projects. That will ensure that the banking system of the country remains completely solid. The other key priority that India Sense has for the governor is that he should ensure that the ship should be completely steady ahead of the US change of guard. There will be volatility as far as the currency markets are concerned, something that the RBI governor will have to take a very close watch on and ensure that India doesn't face any currency volatility. And then we also want, remember, managing the rupee will be a key area for him, given that rupee may come under pressure because of the trade tariffs that Donald Trump is set to impose in his administration. And the last key priority that India Sense feels that the governor should focus on is to create a roadmap for cryptocurrency. The incoming Trump 2.0 administration will see major fund flows when it comes to cryptocurrency. Donald Trump himself is very big on Bitcoin, and one has seen that in the rally that has taken. And Indian investors will look towards the RBI for policy certainty, and that is something that governor will have to provide. As of now, India doesn't have a policy framework for crypto, but the clamor for one is set to grow. Remember, Bitcoin is showing that massive rally, and I believe India Sense wish list includes that the governor provides that clarity to the investors. Listen in to what the governor had to say. All right.
I will uphold the legacy and take it forward. All businesses, all people, they do need this continuity and stability rather than, a day-to-day kind of a policy. So we continue to uphold this value, this principle of stability.
All right, right, it's time to get the top voice on the show. John Bolton, who was part of Donald Trump's previous administration, joins me on the broadcast to talk more about what he feels as far as this administration is concerned. Mr. Bolton, thank you so much for taking out the time and speaking to me on India Sense. Let me start by asking you specifically about some very important picks in Trump 2.2 administration, including Tulsi Gabbard and Kash Patel as picks for very important posts in Trump 2.0.
Well, I think in the case of Tulsi Gabbard, she has made statements over the years about Syria, about Russia, about the war with Ukraine, about a variety of other subjects that are not just extreme in the context of the spectrum of American political views, but are really on another planet. And this is something that's been observed by a number of political leaders over the years. A year or two ago, Senator Mitt Romney said that her remarks were treasonous. In 2016, Hillary Clinton, then the Democratic presidential nominee, said that Tulsi Gabbard was being groomed by the Russians as a presidential candidate. So, I mean, here you have two diverse points of view, one Democratic, one Republican, two presidential candidates basically saying that that her views were too extreme, really, to be given a position of trust and confidence in the government. So I think we'll have a full field FBI investigation on her and on the other candidates, and then we'll have hearings before the Senate Intelligence Committee. We'll see. In terms of Kash Patel, he doesn't have the experience or the background to be an FBI director. His credibility has been repeatedly called into question. And I think the most disturbing aspect for him is that to have a yes man as director of the FBI, an incredibly powerful law enforcement investigatory capability, is something that I think is going to get very, very real scrutiny in the Senate when he comes up for his confirmation.
Okay, but what do you make of Chris Gray's announcement to resign and make way for Kash Patel as the next FBI director?
Right. Well, I think really it was very clear Trump was going to replace Wray. He was going to fire him, or one way or another, Chris Wray would be out of office. So actually, I would consider his resignation the first resignation of the Trump term, not although it occurred during Biden's presidency. It really was something that would have happened on January the 20th or the 21st after Trump was inaugurated. I know that had to be a hard decision to make. I've resigned from positions in government. It's very difficult, but the reason he gave, I think, is important and valid. He didn't want to damage the FBI by being part of the argument over whether Kash Patel should replace him. So now it's not a question of, do you think Kash Patel is better than Chris Wray? It's a question of, here we have a vacancy in this very important job. Is the nominee qualified and fit to fill that job? And that's really what the question should be. It shouldn't be an argument about Chris Wray. It should be over Kash Patel.
Okay, I know there's a lot of talk about trade, immigration being his top priorities, but in your assessment, Ambassador Bolton, Trump's top focus when it comes to India?
Well, I think in his first term, Trump established a good personal relationship with Narendra Modi. I would expect that would continue. I would hope that there would be discussions, not just bilateral, but with Japan and Australia on the Asian Security Quad. I think that's more and more important. I think there are a number of trade issues that Trump will be interested in because he's always interested in trade issues. And what happens on the tariff front in the early days is another major Trump initiative. We don't know exactly what he's going to do, but it could be very impactful. News that's just broken here in the United States is that Trump has invited Xi Jinping to his inauguration. I think he should invite Modi too, as long as he's doing that. We don't know of any foreign leader who's attended an American inauguration as far back as anybody can remember. But it's going to be very important. My own view is that the U.S.-India relationship could well be the dominant issue in the 21st century, and we have a lot to talk about and a lot to work on together. And I hope Trump understands that and acts on it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have a lot more to talk about, Ambassador Bolton, and I'm afraid we're completely out of time here, but we're going to have this conversation again soon. Thanks much for taking out the time speaking to me on NDTV. And in fact, on that note, as we wrap things up, viewers, scan the QR code that is flashing on your screens right now for all the other stories.